Good morning. Today on Spotlight, navigating through the COVID-19 financial roller coaster. How one billionaire is spreading his wings in Lansing, Michigan, and what advice he is giving to entrepreneurs during this pandemic. Charles D. Carey, managing and senior partner of Cig LLC, will join me. And later on our Sunday morning program, Stacy Averill on how Gleaners Community Food Bank is responding to the coronavirus and remembering a civil rights legend and his connection to Detroit. It's Sunday, July the 26th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. Mr. Carey, thanks so much for joining us today from Lansing, Michigan. Doing well?
Doing well, thank you.
All right, you just got back from Florida, so we can now say you're kind of in the safe territory. or as safe as things get these days.
Yeah, it's great to be back up in Michigan, my home, where I grew up at, and I'm glad to be back.
Well, glad to have you. COVID-19, a lot of businesses, a lot of entrepreneurs, when this virus hit, they put the brakes on or they at least slowed down. You're sort of doing the opposite, and I imagine there are probably some CEOs out there shaking their head and saying, what in the heck is Charles D. Carey doing? You're actually sort of putting the pedal to the metal. Why?
A great question, Chuck. I can tell you this, the need, that's number one. My background is always solving problems. When I see a problem, I don't run from it. Some of my buddies are Navy SEALs and different positions of those type of world that you come from. And I got a like mind when I see there's something going on in the industry that needs help. I'm the type of person that said, well, let's solve the problem versus hide from it or shut down. And as a lender, it's even harder, right? It's typically where you're in a position where you can't because of risk. So for our model, we've been able to help support a lot of the projects that have been going through what they're going through right now, not losing their funding or just getting denied. And so for us, we know there's a need right now. There's a very strong need of funding. You have great projects out there with lots of different workers working these projects. And if the project gets shut down, they're not able to fulfill that project and they're out of a job. We have so many people out of a job right now. We cannot have that anymore. And so our goal is to push hard. Now, I have to admit, we still de-risk our projects. We're not just throwing money to the wind.
Okay.
But what we are doing is we are doing long-term debts, which we don't look at today only, right? We're looking at...
You're looking far ahead.
Exactly. So for our model, we're able to say, well, we know hotels are going to be back in 3-5 years. We believe in our society. We believe that there is going to be a vaccine and this will be solved. Our risk team understands that this is a temporary thing.
Mr. Carey, you mentioned 5 reasons why lending should move forward during COVID-19. You talk about lending for tomorrow, which you just talked about. You talk about the high demand, the risk averse, also loyalty to your clients, and doing the right thing. How did you come with those 5, and how important are they to growing your business and growing our economy?
Great question, Chuck. For us, we can't look at how much money we're making as a company today only. We have to look at what the customer needs. What does the consumer need? What does the industry need? Because we believe that if we invest into others and we have the mindset and having a business model that will bring back new business in the future, it only will give us the ability to grow, right? Because most relationships in the financial industry are based on one-time transactions. We don't have that mindset. We look at, well, if I fund this hotel, you're going to come back, I'm going to fund 3 more hotels. Or if I'm helping fund this hospital, the city's going to call me again to fund the next infrastructure project. And we didn't stop funding because all of a sudden the environment changed. Now, do we have to adjust because of it? Yes, we're not going to be naive. We will adjust but we will solve the problem versus sitting in our box and do nothing and stand still. We can't have that.
You made your first million before you were 30. You have a portfolio now, I understand, of about $4.9 billion and headed up to 5. On a scale from 1 to 10, how much of a risk taker would you consider yourself?
You had to ask that question, right? I am a serial entrepreneur. I have taken a lot of risk, and I love that. 1 through 10. 10, I would say, today on certain projects, I am probably a 3 to 5, and overall as an entrepreneur, I'm probably a 7, because I would fund every project if I could. But I have a risk team, I have an underwriting team, I have a committee that we make sure we don't just fund everything. We actually work together, and just because Charles says, let's fund it, that's not how it works. So
they keep you under control.
I just love businesses growing. I can't, when someone has a dream, has a vision, I want to get behind it.
When we come back, I want to talk about what you're doing in your hometown, the Lansing area, as well as some of the other areas of the United States, some plans that you have going forward. We'll be right back with Charles D. Carey of Cig Financial. Stay with us. Mr. Carey, you're headquartered there in Lansing. I understand that you're talking about building perhaps the tallest building in Lansing and changing the Lansing skyline?
Right. Yeah, so where we're looking at, we just acquired two different real estate projects here. We're in the middle of working with HKS Architects on multiple locations of doing a live, work, play building. Live, work, play is a very unique, I would say, cutting edge type model today when it comes to building these buildings that are more vertical than just a community building. So for us, we're looking at doing something that I know larger cities have, but we want to bring it to a smaller metropolitan area like Lansing, where everything's at your fingertips. Everything from your retail, your ability to grocery shop, education, the ability to have entertainment, spa services right down from your residence, all at your fingertips right there in one building.
How tall of a building are you talking about? Are you going to eclipse the Capitol there? Are you going to be close to the Capitol?
Yeah, that's what we're working on right now. We have to be careful because that Capitol building cannot be what we call overshadowed. So we want to be careful what we're doing. It will be a possibly 28 to 32 stories. We're not sure exactly because the height of the building is important too. Some of the floors will be higher. We're going to do some really green stuff with the building. We have what we call solar panel glass that we're putting in. We have some green and vertical gardens inside where private residents can actually have gardens in their own building. We have the right parties, Turner Construction and HKS, to help us build this out.
All right, I know you just got the attention of our technical director who has a real serious green thumb. You have futuristic plans, and you can bring us up to date on where you stand on all these, of building 7 buildings in Florida, Los Angeles, New York City, Dallas, Boston, New Mexico, and Denver.
Yeah, so those are going to be overstaged over time. We're looking at a 7, more like a 10 to 12 year now with this focus that we've been this last year on specifically with the COVID and what we're doing to address those needs. But our plan is to build those in phases. We have different locations, different large projects in each of those areas now. We have over 300 brokers that work for us in all those areas. New Mexico sounds odd, but we have one of the largest projects in the state right now with the offtake as being part of the government and cities there. Something we just launched and is actually going to take our portfolio up a lot larger than it is now. Our main headquarters will still be here in Lansing and also in Orlando. We have more needs probably in those other cities. It won't be as larger. It won't be the largest buildings in those cities, that's for sure. Similar footprint But yeah, definitely, we're excited about it.
You have something called Live 80/20 Foundation. What is that?
Well, thank you for asking that. That's, what I say, everyone has a purpose, right? Everyone has different things they do. Bill Gates has his 50, others have different things that they really want to put into. My heart's always been to give back. And I wanted to start that at the beginning of my career. So I believe a lot of my success is because of my faith and how I walk and what I do. So I believe it's an obligation. So what we believe is living on, giving back 80% of what we earn. When you're in the $1 billion mark, you only can buy so many good things and fun things, right? I told my wife, I only can buy so many McLarens. You can't have 30 of these vehicles out there. Well, I know some people do, but I can't do that. I'd rather give back. And we have a water project right now that it's going to be over 24 billion. We're equity partners in it over 50 years. So we're getting a lot of those funds up front. I have a $500 million right now dedicated just for water relief projects around the world. There's 7,000 villages and towns that don't have clean water right now as we speak, as we experience in Flint. And right now, people don't realize this: 4,000 children die daily because of not having clean water. I mean,
Wow.
It shouldn't be in our society today. I follow the 2 commandments: love God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself. And if you don't do those, that's what I follow, and that's what Live 80/20 is about.
There's another risk taker in Michigan who did pretty well for himself. His name is Dan Gilbert. Are you Michigan's new Dan Gilbert?
I wouldn't like to put my name on there. My middle name is Daniel, but no, I don't want to ever replace or compete. I think, he has done tremendous things for Michigan, just the rebuilding of the Detroit area. He's a great man, what he's done invested wise. But my heart, again, unfortunately, I would say I'm a Michigan guy. He's a Michigan State guy, I think, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that'll work. So
might it be safe to say you're aiming to do for Mid-Michigan what he did for Southeast Michigan?
And that's a great. I would say yes. I would love that. And to answer that question, there's a lot to do. So there's a lot more of me and him out there that need to do more too. So, but thank you for that example. Yes, we expect to do a lot here.
All right. Charles Daniel Carey, thank you so much for joining us today on Spotlight. Good luck with all that you're doing, and let's stay in touch.
Hey, pleasure. Thank you, Chuck.
All right. Stay safe. And coming up, we'll talk to Stacy Averill. She is with Gleaners Community Food Bank. Stay with us. COVID-19 dealt a tough hand for all of us, but I know I've been reading about all of the retooling that you've been doing at Gleaners Community Food Bank, and especially as it relates to kids and making sure that our kids do not go hungry this summer. Bring us up to date on that.
Sure. So right now we are in the middle of our Hunger Free Summer campaign. This campaign is an annual campaign. We've been doing it now for 11 years, but the campaign this year is even more important. During the pandemic, kids have been out of school since March. The Hunger Free Summer campaign is there to make sure that kids are fed throughout the summer when they're not in school. Well, this year, that time frame is a lot longer. And so the Hunger Free Summer campaign is a fundraising campaign in which we reach out to the community and ask for support to ensure that we can continue the work that we're doing right now through the end of the summer, and as kids go back to school in the fall, hopefully, with donations that ensure that we can get them nutritious meals now. And so the campaign is as important as ever. We have wonderful partners. Our longtime presenting partner, Citizens Bank, will match all donations made today.
So they'll double anything that people donate?
Sure, yes.
Great.
They, along with a number of other match donors that we have, will double donations that come in today. I
understand you have maybe close to 50, 60 different partners since just March, I guess?
We have, yes. So at any given time frame throughout the year, we actually work with more than 500 partner agencies in the community. So schools, pantries, shelters, soup kitchens. But since the pandemic, we added on an additional 70 drive-through mobile distributions with many new partners. It is a wonderful, socially distanced and safe way for the community to come and receive food support.
What do you need from that average person, that person that may not have 10,000 or 20,000 or even more to give, but may have $10,
Sure.
$50?
Whatever you can give is truly meaningful to us because we can turn it around. $1 during a match is 6 meals. So $10 is 60 meals. So we can really leverage any dollar that somebody can provide to us to go really far for those in need in the community.
Stacey Averoth with Gleaners Community Food Bank, thank you so much for joining us. Keep up the good work over there, and we'll keep tabs on you as we sort of navigate our way through this very controlling virus.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you. Stay safe. And when we come back, we will remember a civil rights legend and his connection to the city of Detroit. And finally today, our spotlight farewell to the late Atlanta Congressman and civil rights leader, John Lewis. I first met Lewis nearly 50 years ago. We stayed in touch through the years, but in 2013, he was honored in Detroit as the Ford Freedom Award Scholar at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. I traveled to Atlanta to do an interview with him. Here's a look back at that profile. Growing up in rural Alabama, young John Lewis saw the signs separating blacks and whites.
I tasted the bitter fruits of segregation and racial discrimination. I didn't like it. Something within me, I cannot explain it, just kept saying, you have to do something.
So when he enrolled at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, he began to fight.
Fisk University did instill in all of us to stand up, to speak up, and to speak out.
At Fisk, Lewis attended nonviolent workshops and organized sit-in demonstrations at segregated lunch counters.
And we'd be sitting there, waiting to be served, and someone would come up and spit on us. We'll put a lighted cigarette out in our hair, or down our backs.
In 1961, he joined the Freedom Rides, challenging interstate bus segregation across the South. One of the stops was in Montgomery. The Freedom Riders that arrived here at Montgomery's historic Greyhound bus station on May 20th, 1961 included John Lewis. The mob of violence that met them made headlines around the world. It was a ride that changed this city and this nation forever. Montgomery historian J. Mills Thornton.
The leadership of the business community was simply horrified and shocked at what it saw.
So was much of the nation. By 1963, Lewis was chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, better known as SNCC. At 23, he was the youngest of the Big Six civil rights leaders and one of the key organizers and speakers of the historic 1963 March on Washington. On March 7, 1965, Lewis and SCLC leader Hosea Williams attempted to lead peaceful marchers across Selma's Edmund Pettus Bridge to call attention to voting rights discrimination. On a recent anniversary, he described what happened.
A man said, "I'm Major John Cloud of the Alabama State Troopers. This is an unlawful march. You will not be allowed to continue. I give you 3 minutes to disperse and return to your homes or to your church." And Jose Williams spoke up and said, "Major, give us a moment to kneel and pray." And the major said, "Troopers, advance."
They were savagely attacked by dogs and Governor George Wallace's Alabama State Troopers.
On that day, Bloody Sunday, I thought I was going to die. I thought I saw death.
You went through an awful lot physically. The sit-ins, the hoses, the dogs. Wasn't there ever a time when you said, it's not worth it?
I grew up to accept nonviolence as a way of life, as a way of living. I was not going to become bitter or hostile, that I was not going to hate.
The laundry list of one-time segregationists includes the late Alabama Governor George Wallace. Today, Lewis is close friends with Governor Wallace's daughter, Peggy Wallace Kennedy, and her husband, Mark Kennedy, a former Alabama Supreme Court justice and recent chairman of the state Democratic Party. I sat down with them in their Montgomery home.
I was 13 when my father stood in the schoolhouse door and blocked Vivian Malone and James Hood from entering the University of Alabama. No one asked me for my opinion. I saw no reason why Vivian Malone and James Hood shouldn't go there.
And in 2004, she heard then Senator Barack Obama speak at the Democratic National Convention.
I was just overwhelmed with him. And I turned to Mark and I said, I found my voice.
And in 2009, she walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge for the first time with John Lewis.
He held my hand the whole time that we were walking. Every time we cross this bridge, we're moving forward. We're not going backward anymore.
To be able to walk across the bridge with Governor Wallace's daughter, Peggy Wallace Kennedy, is a great feeling. That's what the movement was all about. To lay down the burden of race, move toward reconciliation.
John Lewis is an incredible man. He has become almost like a part of our family. He's so considerate of Peggy's feelings. He's always been inclusive and kind to both of us. When he talks with us and talks with Peggy, it's about the future.
Of course, none of this surprises Zernona Clayton, his longtime Atlanta friend, civil rights activist, pioneering broadcaster, and founder of the Trumpet Awards. She takes great pride in having introduced Lewis to his late wife, Lillian.
A peaceful warrior. He sees the nation as his district. John cares about the least of this, sincerely and completely.
Lewis was elected to Congress in 1986 and is part of the Democratic leadership team. Michigan colleagues John Conyers Jr. and Sander Levin know him well.
John Lewis is an icon in the Congress, both Senate and House.
He has this wonderful blend of remembrance and of determination.
John Robert Lewis, may he rest in peace. I'm Chuck Stokes. We'll be back next week with more newsmakers in the spotlight. We hope you have a great week.